We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 110. Feels like it's been a while since we've been in Vegas, but we're back in the Apex, and we've got honestly, there's potential for this card to be better than last week's card, which isn't saying much because last week's card was horrible, but low-key, a lot of these fights could be really exciting. Not a ton of name value, but still could be a good card, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'll have a ton of bets, but as always, if you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, you can only get those at the House of Sims Discord, link in the description of this video. And then, yeah, we'll do a quick recap of last week. We'll jump into this card. I haven't been able to tape all of these fights. Some of them I have, some of them I haven't. We'll talk about it when we get there, but been a busy week. Hopefully, tomorrow, and by the time I put out shorts, either Thursday or Friday, I'll have everything done. And, again, House of Sims Discord, that's where my notes, my breakdowns, and all that goes. But all right, let's do a quick recap and then let's jump into it. So last week we had UFC 321. Did decent. I had Nathaniel Wood for a unit. Did he win? Did he not win? I think it was a close fight. I think you can give it to either guy, but I was on the plus money side, so I feel like it was a good bet. Rebecca plus 125 for a unit. He came close to getting it done in round 3, but I thought maybe he did enough for a draw. I didn't think that Klein should have gotten a 10-8 in the round before that. I thought it should have been a draw, but it is what it is. Cashed on Salkilled plus 102 for 1 unit. That felt good just because I was getting a lot of crap for that one. I had Hamdi to win ITD, which is just a brutal beat, because that man could have finished Chris Barnett like 100 times in that fight. If he would have just thrown a couple more strikes when he was ground and pounding, if he would have put a little bit more oomph into it, he would have gotten that finish, but no, he didn't, and then he gets cut instead. I did cash on Verna Jandaroba, Mackenzie Dern. Fight goes the distance. Thank God I didn't play Verna money line like I wanted to, and I just went with the fight goes. That felt good. And then I had Aspinall sub round 1 and sub round 2, and obviously we all know that fight was a no contest. I poke. Anybody saying that Aspinall quit is an absolute moron. You're extremely ridiculous if that's what you think, but I can't help you. I can't help you. That was one of the worst eye pokes I've ever seen. That replay was nuts. So it's a shame that happened to Tom. I hope he heals good and they'll run it back. I do think the line was wide. I said that all week. I still didn't bet on Gon. I was going to live bet if anything, but I said all week that line was wide, and it was wide, but Tom didn't quit. That's BS. Fake news. But all right. So for UFC 321, it was 1.22 units tracked. I did have 2 live bets. I live bet Almeida and I live bet Park. The live bet on Park, not great. The live bet on Almeida, low key, I thought he won, but I'm not mad about the decision. He didn't do any damage, and it makes sense to give it to Volkov. So it is what it is. So tiny profit, just barely broke even. I'll pull up all these comments, but I want to pull up this one first. So you think the most pro fighters that are coming out saying he quit are idiots? No, I think they're trying to create content. Look at who's saying it, of all people, too. Aljamain Sterling. Okay. Who wouldn't have been champion if not for an illegal knee? Chael Sonnen. Enough said. And Anthony Smith, who curls up anytime he gets hit really hard. What's good, Steven? Good to see you in here. Thank you. Make sure you guys are listening to Steven. Like and subscribe if you like my stuff. Drinking No Things, my guy. Thank you for tuning in. We're out here. Glenn Bot. What's up, Glenn Bot? Always a pleasure. We got Daz in here. What's up, Daz? All right. Let's break down Vegas 110. So, first fight of the night, we have Talita Alencar versus Ariane Carnelossi. Alencar 6'1" 35 years old, 5'1" with a 58.5-inch reach. I believe that's the shortest reach in the UFC. On the other side, you got Carnelossi. She's 15-3-0. She's going to be 32 years old, so she's 3 years younger, 1 inch taller, and she is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. So, interesting fight. I mean, on one side, you have Carnelossi, who hasn't fought in over a year. The last time she fought, she was getting her butt kicked by Piera Rodriguez, and, she got the DQ because Piera was headbutting her. Before that, she got cooked by Lupi. Before that, I don't remember who it was, but she hasn't had the best career, but she is a physical specimen. She's absolutely jacked, way more jacked than I am. She's physical. She's strong. She's a decent striker. She's not terrible. She's not the best, but she's a decent striker. She can wrestle a little bit. She's done that before. Not like her main thing, but she can grapple. It would be a terrible idea in this fight. But she does have power, and she's strong and aggressive. With Alencar, you know, she's very tiny, like very, very tiny. And I don't love her game, honestly. Like, yes, she's really good at the jiu-jitsu department, but her wrestling is not good at all. Yeah, she took down Vanessa Demopoulos multiple times, but that doesn't take much. Vanessa has bad takedown defense. And more than that, she's happy to go to the ground and play off of her back. And so that doesn't mean a ton for me. And like Alencar's striking is really poor. The reach does not help. And I just think she's not very physical and not very strong. So for me, it's tricky. I mean, there's a great chance here where Alencar takes down Carnelossi and just smokes her because she's way better on the ground, way more dangerous on the ground. And Carnelossi struggled with the ground game. But I can also see a world where Carnelossi just muscles her around. Like, I can see her just throwing her around. Obviously not exactly like that, but you guys get what I mean. I think if she wanted to just make it stink the place up and clinch her up, she probably could. And she is going to be a better striker. She is going to hit harder. So I'll pick Alencar just because she's the one who has like a huge advantage. But I guess like Alencar, I feel like her submissions in MMA haven't been that dangerous though. Like Alencar decision, I guess. But I think there's a very good chance that Carnelossi can make this an upset. Whether she makes it a stinker and does a bunch of clinching and lands a couple shots in between, or just keeps it on the feet and outstrikes Alencar because Alencar really isn't that great of a wrestler, I could see Carnelossi getting it done. I don't know if the price is good enough for me to get involved, considering she's pretty inactive and it's not like she actually won her last fight, but it is a spot I am thinking about. This fight I was really looking into today. So we've got Phil Rowe versus Seok Hun Ko. Rowe, he's going to be 11-5-0, 35 years old, 6'3" with an 80.5-inch reach. Ko on the other side, he's 12-2-0. He's 32, so he's 3 years younger. He's going to be he's going to be 6 inches shorter, and 5 inches shorter. I'm really bad at math. I'm doing that right? Yeah, 5 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 9-inch reach disadvantage. So Ko has a special place in my heart, like he does for a lot of us. A lot of us were on him against Open Elliott. It was a great, great cash. And I can't help but feel like he's being kind of overpriced now. And we see it all the time where a guy's a big underdog once and they win and then they become a huge favorite in their next fight. He won as a big underdog twice, and now he's a minus. I guess the line closed up. He was minus 200 when I taped it. Now he's like minus 170. I know some sharp fellas on Rowe, and I get it. I do understand the play. For me, it's a tricky one. Like I don't have a great read. Like I think I have a solid read, actually. I just think that I'm not super confident on it because like with Ko, he's a great grappler. I do like his grappling. I know that he doesn't really come from a grappling base. He didn't used to grapple a lot in his previous fights on the regional scenes, but he started to wrestle and he's starting to use it. And it's showing me that he does have a good fight IQ. And in the Cavalcanti fight, he showed more, traditional takedowns like double legs, nice entries. In the Open Elliott fight, we saw a lot of trips and throws, also really clean. Now, against a guy like Rowe, it's going to be kind of hard to trip him, a little bit easier to go for double legs and stuff like that. But we know that Ko can do that. We know that's something that's in his arsenal, in his toolbox. And honestly, like pre-tape, I wanted to give Rowe the benefit of the doubt. I was like, is his takedown defense that bad? It's pretty bad. Like his takedown defense isn't great. There was times in the Lusa fight where Lusa kind of just dragged him back down, just muscled him down to the ground. And his get-ups aren't good. I don't think his get-ups are good. He can get stuck on his back. He's happy to play off of his back a lot of the time, which is a mistake. And it's also with these really tall guys, they struggle to get back up sometimes. It's just hard to get your limbs under you because they're so long and so lanky. So on one hand, I can see a way that Ko dominates here, right? I can see him getting those takedowns, and I do think that his control is very good. He's not the most damaging guy on top, but he does have solid ground and pound. And I do think that his control is solid and he's able to keep guys down. But on the feet, he's a good striker, but his reach isn't that long for the division, and he's at a 9-inch reach disadvantage here. And he does keep his chin up like this, literally like this. His chin is just up in the sky. And that's a concern, considering he's been knocked out 2 times before in the regional scene, one by Sasha Palatnikov. We can say, okay, that was like his second or third pro fight, fine. But the other one was more recent. It was still a while ago, and obviously Ko has turned it around since then. But the fact that he's already been chinned twice and he still fights like this, that's a concern to me. When he's fighting Phil Rowe, who has a 9-inch reach advantage, does hit really hard, and is a great striker. He has a very good jab down the pipe, which is going to be there all day long against Cody. He's got a clean 1-2 down the pipe, good combinations. The kicks are good. The leg kicks are good. He's going to have to be careful with the kicks so they don't get caught against Cody. But on the feet, he should light up Cody, and he can 100% knock Cody out. So it's relatively binary for me. Whoever gets their game going is going to be the guy who wins, whether it's Cody who's getting the takedowns and grinding him out, or if it's Rowe who's able to keep it on the feet and knock him out. It's binary for me. Now, like, I do want to say, not Jabab brought it up here, Rowe 2-3. I'm hearing a lot about that because, you know, he hit the round 3 knockout last time, and I think all of his UFC knockouts have come in the 2nd or 3rd round. I get it. But I don't see, like, if you're going to be betting on it, I just think that you're better off either also having the money line or just playing the KO prop straight, because I don't see why Rowe can't knock him out in the 1st round, and I don't see why Rowe knocking him out in the 2nd or 3rd is any more likely than the 1st. Because against Angelusa, that makes sense. That checks out. Angelusa is gassy, right? Cody's not gassy. He's just chinny. So in my opinion, it's more likely actually that Rowe knocks him out early in this fight and not later, because once Cody is wrestling, like, I don't think that once Cody is wrestling, I don't think Rowe's gassy or anything, but, you know, you do start to slow down, and, like, you're not going to have as much pop in your punch when you have to defend takedowns constantly and you're wearing out your arms and all that. So I just think that you're better off targeting Rowe knockout rather than picking rounds here, because I think he can do it in any round. It's not usually when you're betting 2-3, you're betting it because there's a cardio difference there, because there's an advantage there. I don't think that there's a cardio angle here. You know, you're getting a guy who can be hurt, can be knocked out, has good cardio, though. If you're going to look for the knockout, I would just take the knockout prop. I think Rowe money line also makes sense. I personally would have needed a better price than where it's at now. I don't have interest here when, in my opinion, Rowe can be taken down relatively easily, held down relatively easily, and he does not have great fight IQ. And let's be honest, he was about to lose that Lusa fight until he got the finish. So I'm not dying to play him at plus 150. If it was plus 200, we'd be having a different conversation, but I'm not there right now. I think that Cody probably gets it done. I think you can play this fight in a couple of different ways. I think if you play Cody, you probably play him by decision. Because I don't really think he's going to finish Rowe. And then if you're playing Rowe, either play the money line or play his knockout prop, where I saw people playing the finish only. I don't hate that either. It does suss me out a little bit. Why is it plus 130? That doesn't make any sense on paper. Why did they make it that? But I don't hate that angle either. Let's catch up with the chat, and then we'll move on. Glenbot and split will be minus 110. Oh, he's talking about the Alencar Carnelossi fight. Kind of like Rowe in the unders. Yeah, I mean, unders are pretty reliant on Rowe, in my opinion, but I can understand it. What's up, Luke Mack? Rowe also been training with a renowned southpaw boxing coach by Cream. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think the southpaw thing is going to make much of a difference here, because I don't think that his path is in the striking here. Like, yeah, he can probably land some shots and do some work, but I don't think that it's going to make a tremendous difference here. I mean, we're talking a 9-inch reach advantage. Like, southpaw, orthodox, open stance, I feel like the jab is still going to be there. So, and it's not like Rowe is a huge leg kicker. Gwenbot saying the same thing with the southpaw. I think it's a wrestling coach that Rowe needs, not a southpaw boxing coach, if I'm being honest. Rowe was fortunate that Lusa gassed. He was getting cooked. I mean, if we're being honest, like completely honest, Rowe was winning that 2nd round. He was not getting cooked. He was winning. It's just then he got knocked down, so he lost the round. I wouldn't call it a cooking. I would say he got caught. But, of course, that's a concern, and that's one of the reasons I'm not trying to play Rowe at this number, but just wanted to say that. All right, let's keep moving. Next up, we've got Montserrat Conejo Ruiz versus Elise Ardelean. Ruiz 10-4 and 0-32, 5 foot tall with a 61-inch reach. Ardelean on the other side, she's going to be 10-7 and 0. She's 33. So she's 1 year older. She's going to be 3 inches taller, and she's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. I did not tape this fight yet. I'm not dying to tape this fight because I'm not playing Ruiz as an underdog, because she has not fought in who knows how long, and I don't know what she's quite good at. And I don't really want to play Ardelean either because she's -3, 400. And I don't really think that's proper. I don't rate her very highly. I think that she's okay. She's a serviceable fighter. She's a dog. That I like about her. She brings it. She pushes a pace. She throws a good volume. She carries a little bit of pop to her punch for the division. She should win. I think she's going to win, but I don't want to. I'm not rushing to tape this one because I highly, highly doubt that I'm going to get to a bet there. Not Shabab saying Ruiz is going to get cut. Gwenbot saying Elise KO 2-3. I like those looks. I like those looks. Dravi, it's pretty much exactly what we were talking about, bro. But all right, next up we have, and what's up, Dravi? Next up we have Ketlen Vieira versus Norma Dumont. Vieira 15-4-0, 34 years old, 5'8" with a 68-inch reach. Dumont 12-2-0. She's 35, so she's 1 year older. She's going to be 1 inch shorter at 5'7", and she's going to have a 1 inch reach disadvantage. So I haven't fully taped this fight either yet. Not because I'm not interested. I'm actually very interested. I just haven't had the time yet. There were other fights I wanted to target first. But in this matchup, I think this is a really interesting one. I lean towards Dumont's way just because I think she's been looking a little bit better as of late. I think that her striking did look a lot improved in the Aldana fight. Now, Aldana is a punching bag. I get it, but she's a very good boxer too. And I thought that Dumont's performance there was very impressive. And I do think that Dumont is the better offensive wrestler. That said, Vieira has very, very good takedown defense. She's not easy to take down, like not at all. And there's a very good chance that Dumont might not be able to get any takedowns on her. Vieira, I think, is also a solid striker. Now, her output, I'm not crazy about. I think that at times, or a lot of the time, she's not really throwing enough. But she does have solid volume, and not solid volume. She has bad volume. She has solid striking, solid power. She's not really knocking people out, but she's got some pop to her punch. And I think she is very strong in the clinch. So I can see her making this close. I can see her keeping on the feet. It should be very close on the feet. And I wouldn't be shocked if she got her own takedown. She's a decent wrestler. Dumont, solid takedown defense, but I think she can be taken down. And I think Vieira can win minutes in the clinch too. She's very strong. She's very physical. But so is Dumont, you know. That's why I'm kind of back and forth. Again, I still got to tape this one more. Looked at it briefly. I'm going to lean Dumont decision for now. But I do think this is a dog or pass situation. I'm not sure that you can get to Dumont at, you know, what is it now? -170, -160. I don't think that's the best spot. Dravi's saying Dumont much faster. That I can agree with. Vieira is slow and doesn't throw a lot, like I said. But I don't know that I can get to -160 on Dumont. Next up, we have a fight that I just can't believe that Dumas is still in the UFC. It's absolutely incredible. But we have Donte Johnson versus Sedriques Dumas. Donte Johnson, 6-0, undefeated. He's 26 years old, 5'8" with a 74-inch reach. On the other side, Dumas, 10-3-0. He's 30. He's going to be 4 years older. He's going to be, 6 inches taller. And he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. Now, look, Donte Johnson, he fought at heavyweight on the Contender Series. 5'8" heavyweight. Not his weight class. Still got the win. Now, the competition was not very good. Darian Abbey, not the best win, but it was an impressive performance. He's very athletic. He's very explosive. He's very powerful. And he's a solid striker. He's decently well-rounded. But if I'm not mistaken, he's never left the first round. 90% sure about that. Yeah. Never left the first round. As an amateur, he did, but that was amateur. And I still think he's probably a little bit too small for this weight class. 5'8", a middleweight is still quite small. I mean, we have lightweights who are 6'3", but he is very thick, and I'm not sure that he can get much lower than this. Maybe he can get down to to 170 to welterweight, but it would be tough. And then on the Dumas side, it's Dumas. I remember when people were saying that him having $13 in his bank account was the reason he was going to beat Zach Ruiz, which is incredible. That doesn't make any sense. We've seen that kind of stuff play out before. But like I think he was definitely losing that fight against Ruiz also. I don't know how people watch that fight and were like, oh, I'd bet Dumas again in the rematch. Beyond me. But he's also clearly just focused on other things. The man has legal problems constantly. I'm pretty sure he went to weigh-ins last time with an ankle monitor. He had to get it taken off for the fight, and then they put it back on. Like, what are we doing here? How is he still here? And why are people betting on him? He can't focus on training. You really think he's in the room every day grinding? Let's be real here. So I think Johnson should run through him. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. I don't think Dumas is going to win. But, if they do make it out of the first round, Johnson is untested. Johnson might gas out. And if he does, Dumas could maybe take over. Maybe Dumas is able to clinch him up, grind him out, take him down, and win that way. It's possible. I just think he's probably going to get knocked out in the first round. I think he's not coming here to win. I think he's coming here for a paycheck, for his show check, and then he's going to dip out. I think that's pretty much him in most of his career, his UFC career, but especially recently. And I think he's just coming for another paycheck. I think he's going to wait for Donte Johnson to knock him out. He's going to call it a day, and he's going to go home. And that's going to be that. And then somehow he's going to get another UFC fight, and we're all going to say, how is he still in the UFC? I think Donte Johnson gets done. I think he knocks him out. Way more explosive. I think he's more powerful. I like his striking. And he's the one who I think has an actual future in the UFC, whereas I do not think Dumas has much of a future. So we're going to go Johnson KO 1. Next up, we have Timmy Cuamba versus Chang Ho Lee. Cuamba 9-3-0, 26 years old. 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. Lee 11-1-0. He's going to be 31 years old, so he's going to be 5 years older. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. Worth noting, Cuamba, he is fighting down a weight class. He's moving down to bantamweight for this one. He was previously up at featherweight, and I believe he fought Oki at lightweight even, and now he's at bantamweight against Chang Ho Lee. So I was actually really excited to tape this fight. This is one of the first ones I wanted to target, and the reason for that is that I felt like I was going to end up on Lee. I like his pace, I like his pressure, I like his grappling, and I was high on Cuamba on the Contender Series. I backed him against Vogel when a lot of people were on Vogel, and after that, I kind of started to hop off the train just because I felt like he was very green and he was getting tough spots. I might have played him against Oki, honestly, because I felt the same way about Oki, but I know that I faded him with Lucas Almeida. I don't think I touched the Roberto Romero fight just because I didn't really think Roberto Romero was anything crazy either. But he is a good fighter, and he does have a good base. It's just I felt he was green. But, now he's starting to get more fights. He's going to start to come around. And I'll be honest, I saw some things with Lee that I didn't really like. First off, I don't like his striking. I don't think he's a great striker. I think that he's very hittable. That the UFC stats reflect that, and I see that too with my own eyes. And I just don't like his striking at all. I don't think he's clean. I think Cuamba is much cleaner, much more technical. He's got a great jab. He's got nice combinations, especially inside of the pocket. The output could be better. It would be nice if he was more urgent, for sure. But in terms of just who's the cleaner, better striker, I think it's Cuamba. I think Cuamba will definitely do the better work on the feet. Now, can Lee take down Cuamba? Probably. But it won't be easy. Cuamba does have very good takedown defense. I do think it's good. I do rate it. I do think he does all the right things. And I think that his get-ups are also quite good. He hasn't had it tested a ton since the fight with Vogel on the Contender Series. But, I mean, it held up there outside of him getting his back taken in the third. And then Roberto Romero, I know he shot on him a couple of times. He stuffed that. Oki didn't have a ton of success. So I do think he has good takedown defense. And the other thing with Lee is Lee doesn't have great control at all. I think that his control is actually quite poor. He's fallen off a lot. He's fallen off of the back. He's a little bit submission over position. I didn't like I had money on him against what's his name? Cortavius Romeus. And I didn't on rewatch when I was taping this fight. I didn't like what I saw. I remembered it being much more dominant and much more clean, and it was anything but clean. So that's a concern. The other concern is I feel like he can be out physical, out muscled at times, especially in the clinch. Like Long was able to do it to him. Cortavius was able to do it to him. And Cuamba, he's coming down from 145. He's used to bigger guys. He fought Oki at 155. I think he's going to be the stronger, more physical guy. And if he wanted to clinch up Lee, he probably could. So I do think that's also going to come into play. So ultimately, I do think Cuamba's going to win. I ended up on the other side than my pre-tape read, but it is what it is. That happens sometimes. I also think you have a higher ceiling with Cuamba at 26 years old, much more likely to keep getting better. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to go with Cuamba decision. I don't know that I'm going to bet on it because I do think that Lee is a dog, and I do think that Lee could make this a good fight, and I think that he can win. And the line, I think, is close to accurate. So I'm probably going to stay away for now. But if the line was to flip or anything, then I could get involved on Cuamba. Let's catch up with the chat, and then we'll move on out of here. Do I think the cut for Timmy will affect his cardio? I don't think so. He's not a massive 145er, but I am curious about how the cut's going to go for him. Because leaning to the goes the distance. I lean towards goes the distance too. But minus 160. Like, honestly, that's probably still good. I don't know how it finishes. I agree and watched back the long fight and thought his takedowns were worse than remembered. Yeah, I didn't like his striking, and I thought that his wrestling wasn't as good as I remembered it either. Oh, wow. Good luck, Daz. Cratavius doesn't have one solid wing. Only real is Long, which... I mean, Long is a tough guy. I think it's impressive to get a win over him. It was a very close fight. I know a lot of people felt Long won, but like, it's a good win. I like, who's Cuamba's best win? You know? Like, I guess it would have to be Roberto Romero. Maybe Mateo Vogel. I guess Vogel probably. But it's not like he has any crazy wins either. Oh, boy. Next up, we have Kevin Christian versus Billy Elekana. Christian, 9-2-0, 30 years old, 6'7" with an 80-inch reach. Elekana, 8-2-0. He's going to be 30 as well. He's going to be 4 inches shorter. He's going to have a 3-inch reach disadvantage. Not much I can do with this fight. I think Elekana is going to win. I think that Elekana is more well-rounded. I think that Elekana is a better gas tank. I think that Elekana is a better offensive wrestler. I think he has the jiu-jitsu to stay safe. And Kevin Christian just has poor takedown defense. I don't think he's a great striker. I don't think he has great cardio. I don't think super highly of him at all. So I think Elekana is going to win. I just don't think you can really get to minus 250, because would it be shocking if Kevin Christian came out there and submitted him off his back? No, it wouldn't be. And Elekana can also sometimes just not do enough. Like, in a lot of his fights, I feel like he doesn't throw enough output. He's just kind of staring. And that's the reason I tried to fade him in PFL with Charlie Campbell, who was like 40 years old at the time and should have won that fight. Should have cashed that ticket. So, like, I've never been super high on Elekana, but I do think that he's better than Christian. I think that Christian should not have been signed. And here we are. So I think Elekana wins. I do think the counter violence props might be a good spot here. Like the over, I don't hate that at all. The fight goes, I don't hate that at all. What's Elekana decision? Elekana decision plus 300, don't hate that at all. I don't really consider Elekana a crazy finisher, honestly, and I can see him easily just laying on Christian for 15 minutes. So I don't hate that. Gwenbot saying Billy round 2-3, Kevin is so bad. What are the numbers? Yeah, you're not getting anything out of them. They're giving you round 2 plus 450, round 3 plus 650. They're on to it. I agree with the Grateful Dude, though. That if I had to bet this fight, if I was absolutely forced to bet this fight, that's how I would do it. I'll lean decision, but not super passionate. All right, we're up to the main card. We have Allan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Nascimento, 21-6-0, 34 years old, 5'8" with a 69.5-inch reach. Durden, 17-8-1, 34 as well. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So I have a feeling I'm probably going to end up losing some more money on Cody Durden. If you guys know me, you know my channel, you know I bet on this guy all the time. I love Durden. I think he's a dog. I like his style. Do I worry about his cardio? Yes. Do I worry about him putting himself into submissions? Yes. Do I worry about his chin? Also, yes. But I often feel like that the cardio narrative is overplayed. At the end of the day, he still dogs it out in round 3 every time he makes it there. So I don't really know that it's a huge problem is his cardio, and I don't consider Nascimento a pace pusher either. So that I'm not too worried about. His chin I'm not too worried about because Nascimento doesn't hit hard at all, in my opinion. Him getting caught in a submission, now that I'm worried about because Nascimento's elite on the ground. That I'm worried about. But like, should he really be plus 200 here? Should he? I'm concerned about the short notice. Yes, I am. But I feel like this line is probably incorrect. I don't know that he should be plus 210. Like, on the feet, do I think that Nascimento is going to outstrike him? Not really. I think it'll be close on the feet. If anything, I kind of lean towards Durden's way in the striking department. And I also think that he might hit a little bit harder than Nascimento. And then, like, realistically, Durden's probably going to wrestle. I do think that his jiu-jitsu is solid. I think that he can probably defend most of what Nascimento is going to throw his way. We saw him get out of some gnarly stuff against Jake Hadley. I think that he can probably also defend against Nascimento. But he's been submitted before, and he could probably be submitted again. So that is a concern there. The betting odds are nothing what they're showing on Tapology, by the way. Nascimento's a minus 250 favorite. I can't ever get to minus 250 for a guy who is more than happy to play off of his back. Like, even if you think, yeah, he's going to submit Durden, okay. But you want to lay minus 250 on a guy who's going to be on his back the majority of the fight, more than likely, and you want to do that? I don't want to do that. Can he win off of his back? Absolutely. But Durden's not really a guy who's just going to lay there. He tries to inflict damage. He tries to do things. So if he's getting the takedowns and not getting submitted, he's probably winning the minutes. I don't know. I feel like Durden's live for the upset here, personally. I know everybody's running to bet Nascimento. They're parlaying him, playing him in every fashion. But I think Durden is a live underdog here. I do. Under 2.5, I don't hate that if you think Nascimento wins. If you think it's going the distance, I don't understand why you would bet Nascimento, because that just doesn't check out to me. But yeah, I'm honestly, I'm going to go this way. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll look stupid. I probably will look stupid, but I'm going to take the shot. Like, I personally, I don't think that I didn't think that Nascimento's win over our guy Filio was that impressive. Like, it's impressive in that Filio is very good, but the way he won, like, it was kind of just some mistakes on Filio's end that ended up costing him, and Nascimento got the dub instead. But I didn't really love that performance for him personally. And he's also not the most active either. Like, that was 4 months ago, but then before that, Carlos Hernandez, 2 years and 9 months. The Hadley fight was 3.5 years ago. Tagir almost 4 years ago. Like, he's not fighting super often. He's kind of just let his career go by him, at least in the UFC. Like, obviously, he's already got, 27 fights, but I don't like the price on him. It's dog or pass for me, and I'm going to ride with my guy Durden one more time, at least as a pick. I don't know that I'm going to bet on him, but at least as a pick, I'll ride with him one last time. Well, hopefully not the last. Hopefully he wins and stays in the UFC. All right, moving on. We have Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. Radtke 10-5-0. He's 35 years old, 5'9" with a 72-inch reach. Frunza 9-3-0. He's 31. He's 4 years younger. He's going to be 3 inches taller, and he's going to have 4 inches taller, actually. And he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. So I need to look at this one more. I taped it a little bit, not a ton. I'm not super passionate, but I do feel like Radtke probably should win, just because Frunza, to me, he's such a punching bag. And like, I did not think that the Riss-McKee fight was a good look. I mean, he got dropped, 4 times? Like, that's a concern. That's not a great look. And on top of that, like, his grappling's also not great. And Radtke's not always wrestling, but he is a good wrestler. He can wrestle, he can grapple. And I do think that's a path for him here. But also, if it's on the feet, like, I can see him knocking out Frunza. I can see him hurting Frunza. Frunza's just way too hittable. Now, if Frunza doesn't get knocked out, what I love about the guy is that he brings it every time. The reason I backed him on the Contender Series against that dude Kutsi is because I felt like Kutsi might be gassy and Frunza could break him down the stretch. That's exactly what he did. He's a dog. He'll bring it every time. He's got solid striking. He's got good body work. He puts it together well. He's got nice combinations. But it's the striking defense for me that kind of throws me off. Now, with Radtke, like, he's pretty hittable in his own right, and I feel like on the feet, he's not throwing enough output a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, he's kind of just spamming the left hook. But I just feel like with the power, with the wrestling upside, you probably need to make him a favorite, especially when Frunza just got dropped that many times against Riss. That was a half year ago. He's probably recovered, and like, he's clearly tough and durable. Even then, it was a stoppage, not like a knockout. But it is a concern, It's definitely a concern for me. We'll see where I'm at once I tape it more, because It won't take me much to get to Frunza. I love the guy. I think he's an absolute dog. But I think there's some risks here for him. So for now, I'm going to lean the Radtke way. I'll lean a wrestling-based decision. But I need to take a look at it a little bit more. And I highly doubt that I'll be getting to Radtke at minus 160. I don't think that's going to happen. It's interesting that over 2.5 is minus 115. But fight goes as plus 155. That seems interesting. Just checking out the props. All right. Yeah, I'm not super passionate here. We can move on. What did Steven say? Steven saying Radtke likely looks to wrestle here. I think so too. All right. This is the first fight I taped because I felt like the line was wrong. And I do still feel like the line's probably wrong. But we have Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadier Delval. Dulgarian 7-1-0, 29 years old, 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. Delval 9-0. He's undefeated. He's 29 as well. He's going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So look, yes, Dulgarian is a really good wrestler. He's super explosive early. He's got great control early, and he has very good ground and pound. He does a lot of damage on the ground. He's not a lay and pray guy. He will take you down, and he will try to inflict damage. He will try to finish you. He's great that way. But, like, first of all, his striking is terrible. Terrible. I don't know how that's even really possible, considering he was at Factory X. I'm not sure if he's still there because I know that gym had a lot of problems, but I don't know how, when he's very athletic, like he's got the base for it. I know that sometimes wrestlers struggle to pick up the boxing and stuff, but you would think that at least to an extent he would have improved. But I mean, in that C-Rod fight, his striking was really, really bad, really bad. And that's the only time we ever saw him really get tested in the striking, because every other fight he faced zero adversity and just got the takedowns. C-Rod, a great scrambler, a great defensive grappler, and he was able to actually make Dulgarian work a little bit. And that's where I saw it. Like, I think that Dulgarian is a poor striker, unfortunately. He's a great wrestler, very strong on top, very, very dominant on the ground, but a poor striker. And the other thing is, like, are we sure that his cardio is fixed? Are we positive? Because what's our proof? There's been one fight since the Christian Rodriguez fight, and that was, what's his face? Brandon Marotte, who got brought in to lose to, I forget who it was. But, like, that, it showed me nothing. That fight showed me nothing. It just showed me that Dulgarian can still crush cans. I already knew that. I knew that from his regional career, that he can crush cans. The Francis Marshall fight, super impressive. C-Rod fight, decently impressive because he still controlled C-Rod, whatever. Brandon Marotte fight means nothing to me. So that I just felt need to be said, because you're making Isaac Dulgarian a, what, minus 260 favorite, minus 270, depending what book you're going on. And you don't know about his cardio still. And unless you're making it up, his striking's not good. Maybe you're assuming it got better. I haven't seen it. So I already don't know how you can do that. I don't. Now with Delval, I'll bring up my guy Dravi's comment here. I think his takedown defense is solid. I don't think it's the best. You know, Alamov taking him down relatively easy, even in the later rounds when he was a little bit more tired. Not a great look. But that was also what? Alamov fight was a year and 4 months ago. Like, I think he's improving. I think he's going to be improving in the takedown defense department. And obviously, I think that Dulgarian's going to get takedowns. I think he's going to get takedowns early. I think he's going to look dominant early. And this might be a better live spot for sure. But I think that Delval's takedown defense is good enough where he can make Dulgarian work. I don't think he's going to fall over like a Brandon Marotte or like those guys he was crushing on the regional scene. I don't think it's going to be that easy for Dulgarian. I just don't. And I think that Delval also has good grappling. Like, I feel like that's not being talked about at all this week. He's also a good wrestler. And I can also, like, why can't he take down Dulgarian? Do we know what Dulgarian's takedown defense really looks like? No. So I think that him getting his own takedowns is on the table. I think him scrambling is on the table. And I don't think he's going to be just an easy body for Dulgarian to lay on and not get tired on. And then on the feet, I think Delval's a better striker. And what I really like about him is that he throws a lot of output. He's always moving forward, and he's always pushing a pace. And I think that that's the kind of guy who's going to give Dulgarian problems. A guy who can push the pace, a guy who is a better striker, and a guy who, in my opinion, can also grapple. So to me, the line doesn't make a ton of sense at all. It doesn't. Like, he'll probably look like a minus 260, maybe even more of a favorite early, but I don't think that's going to be the case late. And maybe for that reason, it's better to bet it live, but we'll see. We'll see depending on how this line goes, because I wouldn't be super shocked if Doval made it a close round. And it's not like the bookies don't know about the cardio. Bookies know these things now. You see that sometimes in fights where a fighter gets dominated in the first round, but they don't adjust the line a lot because they know about the cardio. So it's possible that Del Valle gets bodied in the first round. They don't give us any better of a line or a slightly better line. We'll see. We'll see how I end up targeting it. I don't remember if I said it before, but I also think the clinch for Del Valle, I like his clinch game. I like those clinch knees, and I think those will be money on Dulgarian. So, yeah, for me, this is easily dog or pass. I'm going to pick Dulgarian just because, like my guy Dravi pointed out, yeah, I think the Del Valle's takedown defense can be a problem for him in this fight. But I don't think Dulgarian is going to finish him. And if he doesn't finish him, Del Valle's going to make him work, and he's going to push him. And I think he can 100% make the upset. So for me, it's Del Valle or pass, and that's where I'm at. I'll catch up with the chat, and then we'll move on. Duo saying, what's up, Duo? His cardio is probably fine. He just fights unsustainable. Might gas even more fighting someone as big as Yadier. I agree. Yadier super live at these odds. I agree with you. Pick him. Not Jabab saying the 10-8 demon, Dulgarian early. Okay. Maybe we bet a draw here. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the bet. Honestly, might not be a bad idea. I don't know about way bigger, but he will be bigger than Dulgarian. Everyone on Dulgarian. Yeah, I personally, I don't know how you lay minus 250. If you got earlier prices, fine. I personally wouldn't have done it because I still have questions with Dulgarian, and I don't understand how you get any answers from a Brandon Marotte fight. But to each their own. I can understand the play at earlier odds. I can't understand the play at minus 260. Duo saying that Dulgarian said he can make 135. Jeez, imagine him at 135 if he can make the cut. Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. All right. It's Dulgarian for the pick, but dog or pass. Should I just send it and pick Del Valle? Yeah, if I'm going to bet on Del Valle, I might as well just send it. Let's go. All right. Next up, we have Jeremiah Wells versus Themba Garimbo. Wells 12-4-1. He's 39 years old, 5'9" with a 74-inch reach. Themba 14-5-0. He's 34. He's 5 years younger. He's going to be 4 inches taller, and he's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. Have to tape this one more. Looked at it briefly. For me, it's Wells. I never really rated Themba all that much. Like, he's decent. He's athletic. He's a decent grappler. He's a decent wrestler. But, like, his chin's not the best. His striking's not the best. He can make a lot of mistakes. He got subbed in the fight against Luque because his entries are not clean in the wrestling. And, like, he's not throwing a lot of output on the feet either. Like, where is he better than Wells? He's younger than Wells, and he's bigger than Wells. That's the advantages I give him. I think Wells is a better offensive wrestler. I think that Wells has better jiu-jitsu. I think that Wells hits harder. I don't love Wells' striking because it's mostly this. But he hits really hard. And Themba has decent power in his own right. I don't think he hits nearly as hard as Wells. And, he does throw a bit more straight and down the pipe. But is there a lot of oomph to it, emphasis? No, not really. So for me, I'm leaning towards the Wells side. How does he do it? I think it's either going to be a knockout or a decision. I think a knockout's live, but if he goes too hard for it, he might gas, and then Garimbo can come back around. That's a little bit of a concern, but I guess I'll lean towards the decision. Pick'em saying he feels like this will go to a decision. What's the odds on that? Over 2.5 is minus 110. Fight goes plus 125. Like I think that's what's going to happen. But like I said, I could see Wells knocking out Garimbo too, because Wells hits like a train. So, yeah, not a fight I'm super passionate in, but I am considering the Wells side. I think there might be some value there. I don't love that he's 39, and I don't love his gas tank, but I don't think that Garimbo is much of a pace pusher personally. I don't think his gas tank's anything special. And Yeah, I think what Wells can beat him in a couple of different ways. What's up, Fukayu? Not counting Petrosky, Marquez MMA is undefeated in 2025. Ruziboev, Petrosky, Brady, Sabatini. I guess you're right. Yes, that's the best way to describe this Alpha Tips. It's a very, very volatile fight because, like I said, like Wells can win this by wrestling. Wells can win this by knocking him out. But there's also a world where Wells exhausts himself trying to knock out Themba, and Themba just kind of grinds him out. So definitely a volatile fight. We can move on. This is a fight that I taped relatively recently today. We got Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delia Acosta. He's 14-2-0, 34 years old, 6'4", the 78-inch reach. I low-key think the 6'4" is cap. He's definitely shorter than Delia. Not by much, but I think he's shorter. Delia, 26-6-0. He's 35. He's 1 year older. Allegedly 6'3". But I don't think so. He's got a 78-inch reach as well, so the same reach. It's an interesting fight. Both guys have been plus money, and I think that if you bet either guy at plus money, you made a good bet. I think this is a very close fight. I think pick 'em or slight favorite, either guy makes sense to me. I lean towards Acosta slight favorite personally, and I'll explain why. Like for me, I think a lot of emphasis is being put into the Marcin Tybura knockout for Delia. And like, yeah, it's good. Marcin Tybura, established UFC fighter, been around the block, has beaten a lot of guys, but like Tybura is so old. He's so old. He's so slow. And Delia got his back against the cage, and Tybura just didn't have it in him to get off the cage, and Delia let it rip. And recently, what's Delia's best work been? When he can get them up against the cage and let it rip. I don't think Acosta's got, like, I think Acosta's footwork is good enough to avoid that. Like, I know that he does back up, but he's moving laterally. He's not, I don't think he's just going to put his back to the cage and stay there. And then with like Delia also, I noticed he gets so flat-footed. Like he'll just plant his feet and that's it. And then he'll just swing. He's not moving a lot. He's also a little bit slow in the movement. Like when he throws, it's actually kind of fast, but just a general movement, I feel like it's kind of slow and plotty, and he's very flat-footed. I think Acosta's a lot lighter on the feet. I think at range, he's a much, much better boxer, much cleaner striker. Delia at range, it's a lot of just big winging shots. You know, his kicks are pretty good, but when he's at kicking range or, you know, a little bit closer, he doesn't have a ton. Like even boxing range, like it's mostly big looping shots, you know? And I talk about it all the time. You have one guy who's throwing big looping shots, and you have one guy throwing down the pipe. Who's going to land first? It's going to be the guy throwing down the pipe. And then added on to that Acosta is pretty fast, and he has got a great jab. His jab should be there all day long. He follows it up well. He has a good 1-2. He's got good body work. He's got solid leg kicks. He should kick more. He's a bit too much of just a boxer, but he's rounding out the game, and the kicks are solid. I think that at range, he should be much cleaner. I think he should do the better work. I think that his output is a lot better than Delia's. I don't think that Delia has great output. And what did I want to say? Oh, the other thing I wanted to say. Delia does hit harder than Acosta. Pound for pound, he definitely hits harder. But I think both of them are able to hurt each other because Acosta, while he doesn't hit the hardest, he sets his shots up well. And Delia's just, how much damage has this man absorbed? We're talking about a 32-fight career. I believe it was either 14 or 16 years he's been fighting as a pro. He's absorbed a ton of damage. He's been knocked out, 3 times? Like, he's just taken so much damage where I don't think that he can take big shots as well. Do I think Acosta's going to knock him out? Probably not. But I think he can hurt him, and I think he can win moments on the feet along with the minutes, which I think he'll be winning on the feet. Now, can Delia wrestle him? Because that's probably, in my opinion, like if you're betting Delia, I'm assuming that you are banking on at least a little bit of wrestling, because otherwise I don't get it. I do get it because I think he's going to try. At least he's going to try to wrestle, and he is a big physical dude. But I don't think his wrestling is anything special personally, and I think that Acosta's takedown defense has actually gotten pretty good. And I think he's probably going to be able to defend the majority of the takedowns. I think when he gets taken down, he works back up to his feet pretty well. So I think if Delia does get him down, I think Acosta can get back up. And I also think that D'Elia can slow down a little bit. If Acosta's working his way back up to his feet while D'Elia's trying to take him down, I think that can slow D'Elia. Now, Acosta, God bless him, he can slow down too. But he's still throwing a ton of volume. Like against Spivak, he looked pretty tired to me in the third round, but he still outstruck Spivak by a good margin, and he landed, I think it was like 30 or something significant strikes in that round. So he's still bringing it even when he's a little bit tired. And I do think that D'Elia can get tired too. And like I know that D'Elia's record is pretty, but like the wins are not great. Like Tybura is probably the best one. De Castro, not a good win right now. Maurice Green, I don't have to say anymore. Mateus Scheffel is not a real heavyweight, not good. And D'Elia beat him twice. And then before that, like you go back, like there's the one fight where he couldn't finish the 9-5-0 dude. I forget his name. There was the Capoloza fights where, if you're not familiar with Capoloza, we're talking about a guy who's not a heavyweight either. He's a light heavyweight, moved up to heavyweight for the PFL tournament, knocked out D'Elia in the first round, like the first round of the tournament and the first round of their fight, knocked him out. And then in their second fight, it was more back and forth. It was more competitive, but he hurt D'Elia. He took D'Elia down. It was not a great look. Like, I don't think that's a great example for D'Elia, because that was a light heavyweight who moved up to heavyweight and still beat him twice in two different methods. So for me, it's like I could see a world where D'Elia wins, you know, if he's landing the takedowns, landing his big shots, and maybe really using that clinch work. I think he can win. But I think the more likely outcome is Acosta just jabs him up and outstrikes him, outboxes him at range. Personally, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that both sides make sense. You can make a good argument, but this is the way I'm leaning. And the only reason I'm not saying to like, oh, just bet Acosta like decision, because that is how I think he wins, and that's how he usually wins. And the number's kind of nice. It's like plus 250. Only reason I'm not saying that is because D'Elia, like I said, I worry about his chin and his durability at this stage of his career. I know that he's only 1 year older on paper, but in fight years, I think he's a lot older. Wear and tear, I think he's a lot older. Green King saying Acosta decision. I agree. Dogfather, my guy. What's good, bro? Not my birthday yet, technically. Not till Thursday, but I appreciate it. Alpha Tips. All right, we're up to the main event. We've got Steve Garcia versus David Onama. This is a sick fight. It's weird to see it as a main event, but it's going to be a really fun fight. Steve Garcia, 33 years old, 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. Onama, 14-2-0, 31. He's 2 years old, younger. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have a 1 inch reach disadvantage. So it's an interesting fight. I taped it. I want to go back to it, though, because I feel like I don't have the best read in the world. But like on one hand, Garcia's starting to, answer some questions. I've always had the question of, hey, how is he going to be looking in later rounds? Because it's been primarily all finishes. But he answered some questions against Kattar. He went all 3 rounds. He landed a lot of significant strikes. I think it was like 70 or 80. He won a decision against Calvin Kattar, who, a couple years back was one of the best in the featherweight division and a very, very hard fighter to beat minute by minute. And he beat him. Now, on one hand, Calvin Kattar is pretty washed, like pretty damn washed. But on the other, it's, in my opinion, it's still a good win. And he finally answered some questions. His takedown defense still not the best, but it's solid. He does have good takedown defense, solid takedown defense. And, he can wrestle a little bit in his own right. Not really his main weapon, but he can. What hasn't really changed, though, is his defense. Like his chin is still way up in the air. I still think you can rock him and catch him. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I guess it was like 3 years now that Machate knocked him out, but that did happen, and I think that hasn't really changed much. His defense isn't really any different. Kattar didn't land a lot, but I think that's more on Kattar being washed than it is about Steve Garcia's striking defense being any better, and the fact that his chin is kind of way up high in the pocket. But it was a good look. The Calvin Kattar fight was a good look. Now, on the Onama side, I tried to fade him with Giga. I thought that I made a pretty good bet. Onama was ultimately able to get the win by mixing in some takedowns, but I did think it was a competitive fight. I do think that Giga, for me, he was a different matchup than Garcia, because Giga, in my opinion, is a much cleaner technical kickboxer than Garcia. Garcia more of a just aggressive machine, the mean machine. But, you know, I think it was a stylistically tricky matchup for Onama. That's why I didn't feel like he should be like, I think he was like minus 300 or minus 270 or something like that. I know I got a good number on Giga. So, like, I do think this is a different matchup. I do still feel like Garcia probably beats up on him early. That happens to Onama a lot of the time where he kind of gets beat up on early. He is very hittable in his own right. It's not like his striking defense is anything to write home about. I do feel like he's probably more durable than Garcia is. And he is damn hard to put away, at least with strikes. But I do think that early Garcia probably beats up on him. Now, I'm not really sure who the 5 rounds favors more. I don't know that we're gonna get there with the way these two fight. I don't know that we're gonna get there. I don't know who the 5 rounds favors more. Like before the Cater fight, I probably would have said Onama, but that definitely helped me like thinking Garcia has some cardio at least, and he probably can go 5 if it's the kind of pace that the Calvin Cater fight was. But then like, if Onama's, because Cater wasn't really like pushing forward, like trying to back him up. Like if Onama's trying to put Garcia on the back foot, right? And he's throwing heat back his way and maybe mixing in some takedowns, maybe that's going to tire Garcia, you know? So I do think that's a factor. I do think that that Onama probably could land takedowns, honestly. Garcia probably could too, but Onama's really tricky to hold down and keep down. We saw that in the JSP fight. He was just scrambling because he's so athletic. And because he's athletic, it's also kind of hard to take him down. But once you get him down, very hard to keep him there. So I don't really see Garcia having like prolonged wrestling success. I don't see either guy having like prolonged wrestling success. I think that'll exhaust both of them. But I think that if someone's more likely to get takedowns here, I think it's probably Onama. And I don't know what it is, but I do kind of lean Onama's way. I feel like this is why I really want to tape it more, because my brain's telling me Garcia. My gut is telling me Onama. So I have to think about it a bit more. I have to retape it with a fresh set of eyes because I kind of just stuffed it in today between all the other fights I was taping. Tried to get it done before the show, but I got to look at it more. Right now, I'm going to rock with my gut, not my brain. But see, like how? Because then I got to fill in a method, right? This is where it gets tricky. And it's like, okay, probably, I guess, knockout, right? But it's hard to imagine Garcia knocked out because it hasn't happened in such a long time, but it has happened. And then on the other hand, I'm thinking like he might decision him. But if this goes 5 rounds, it's going to be such a mess. It's going to be such a mess. What are the numbers on that? Fight goes as plus 550. Like the bookies are feeling what I'm saying. The thing is, though, if it doesn't end in the first like round and a half, the over 1.5. If it doesn't happen in the first 1.5 rounds, I think it might not happen at all, low key. So maybe the decision prop is the way my sick mind might play it. We'll see. I'll take a look, or maybe like the over 3.5. I see that's a big number too. Because I do think that once the firepower slows down a bit from both of them, if they survive the first and second round, I think this might get greasy, and I think it might get very interesting, and it might go all 25 minutes. I don't know. I don't know how I want to fill it out. I feel like he might catch Garcia. I feel like he might catch Garcia in the pocket. Let's go round 2. But I would not be shocked by a decision either. I would not be. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you in here. Bryce saying over 1.5 is minus 120. I think Onama slows it down if he gets in trouble. Yeah, it's terrifying to lay chalk on the over 1.5 when we know full well how both of these guys fight. Like, there's a reason they put them as the main event, and it's because they think they're just going to run at each other, rock'em sock'em robots, and they probably will. Giga as well. Yeah, it was a value loser, as they say. Duo going to say, I'm going to guess Garcia better cardio from last fight, and the fact he doesn't look as athletic as Onama overall, which caused Onama. I mean, I think the bigger reason Onama gasses out is because he's like loading up every shot he's throwing most of the time. He's had a great jab that he doesn't load up, but everything else he's loading up heavy. I think that might be it. But Like, he's another guy, though, that pushes through it. You know, he gets tired, but he's still pushing the pace. Like, the Landwehr fight, that's where he got paced, and he lost that one. But Landwehr would do that to you. He's done that to so many people. And he was on his way to doing it to Morgan Charrier, too, before Morgan knocked him out. Pfeiffer and Dawkins are. Dawkins is at Marquez MMA. I didn't know that. That I didn't know. Oh, and Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer I forgot about. But yeah, this main event, I'm not confident in this pick. I might change it. I'm going to retape it hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe Thursday, probably tomorrow. But I need to look at it more before I'm confident about a side. Right now, I'm going to lean Onama. That's just my gut. But we'll see where I end up. And that's it, guys. That's UFC Vegas 110. I'm going to run through my picks one more time, and then we're going to get on out of here. We kept it at just about an hour. Please, if you're watching this, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. It really, really helps the channel. Let's see what Alpha is saying before we hop out. His fight being 1.5 rounds is kind of wild. It's a competitive match for both men. They got 5 rounds. I do think they might kind of bring a different pace early, and I think you might be right about that, but I'm so scared to play the over 1.5 at chalk in that fight. All right. Picks. Alencar, but dog or pass. Need to tape it still. Ardelean. Dumont, need to tape it more. Probably dog or pass. Donte Johnson. Cuamba. Elekana. Durden. Radtke, need to look at it more. We're rocking with Del Valle, Wells, Acosta, and Onama for now, pending more tape. All right, guys. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Peace out and good luck this weekend.